It was a night the heavens themselves seemed to mourn. Rain lashed down on the old pier as thunder cracked across the lake, each flash of lightning illuminating 3 souls caught in a storm far greater than the one above. Eliza stood trembling, her white dress clinging to her body, soaked through and heavy with both rain and fear. Her husband, Richard Hale, a man whose wealth was matched only by his ambition, stood 10 feet away, his designer suit drenched, his trembling hand gripping the cold metal of a pistol. His eyes, once warm and adoring, now burned with betrayal and rage. "You lied to me," he spat, his voice cracking through the rain. "You told me that child was mine." Eliza could barely breathe, her heart hammering so violently she thought it might shatter her ribs. "It is yours, Richard," she pleaded, one hand on her swollen belly, the other outstretched toward him. "Please, just listen." But he didn't want to listen. His world, meticulously built on power and control, had begun to crumble the moment he discovered her secret meetings. He thought she was seeing another man, and in a way, she was, but not for the reasons he believed. The man now standing beside her, his face streaked with blood, was Marco DeLuca, once a feared name whispered in the shadows of the underworld, now the man who had risked everything to protect her. "You're aiming at the wrong person, Hale," Marco growled, stepping slightly in front of Eliza despite the wound on his temple. "She came to me because you were about to destroy her." Richard's grip tightened. "You expect me to believe that? That my wife went to a Mafia boss for protection?" The word Mafia cut through the air like the lightning behind them. Eliza's tears mingled with the rain as she shook her head. "Richard, please, you don't understand. You got involved with men who wanted you dead. Marco saved me. He saved our baby." Richard's jaw clenched. He had known for months that his business dealings were attracting dangerous enemies, but never did he imagine his own wife would run to them. His ego couldn't bear the thought. His vision blurred with anger, the barrel of the gun rising. In that instant, Marco's eyes narrowed, the eyes of a man who'd seen too much death, who had lived by the bullet and was now ready to die for something pure. He stepped fully between them just as Richard's finger pulled the trigger. The sound of the shot tore through the storm. Time seemed to freeze. Eliza's scream echoed into the night, sharp and raw. Marco stumbled back, a bloom of red spreading across his chest. Richard's hand dropped as if the gun had burned him. For a moment, all that could be heard was the relentless drum of rain against wood and the distant rumble of thunder. Marco fell to his knees, his breathing ragged but his eyes locked on Eliza. "You're safe," he whispered. "That's all that matters." She caught him before he fell, her sobs mixing with the rain as she held him close, the warmth of his blood seeping into her trembling hands. "No, Marco, stay with me, please." But he only smiled faintly. "Tell him," he whispered, glancing weakly at Richard. "Tell him the truth." Richard stood frozen, the reality of what he had done sinking into his bones like ice. The gun clattered to the wet planks. "Eliza, what truth?" he asked hoarsely. Eliza looked up at him through her tears. "The baby." "The baby really is yours," she said. "But the men you crossed, they were coming for us. Marco found out and hid me before they could. He risked his life to protect us both. And you," her voice broke, "you just shot the only man who ever tried to save your family." Richard staggered back, horror spreading across his face as lightning revealed his pale features. The weight of guilt crashed over him, heavier than any storm. He fell to his knees beside Marco, whose breaths were growing shallow. "Why?" Richard whispered. "Why would you take a bullet for her, for me?" Marco gave a weak, almost amused smirk. "Because even monsters get one chance to do something good." With that, his eyes fluttered closed, the rain washing away the last traces of blood from his face. For a long moment, no one moved. The thunder rolled on, as if the heavens themselves were giving Marco DeLuca the send-off he deserved. Eliza clung to her husband's arm, both of them trembling, one from shock, the other from remorse. Richard dropped his head, his tears lost in the rain. "I thought I was protecting my pride," he whispered, "but I almost killed everything that mattered." Eliza placed a trembling hand on his face. "Then don't let it be for nothing," she said. Make it right. Live the kind of life he wanted us to have. Weeks later, as dawn broke over the same lake, Richard stood at the edge of the dock, now rebuilt. A small bouquet of white lilies floated on the water. Eliza's idea, a way to honor the man who had saved her life. The air was calm now, the storm long gone, replaced by a golden sunrise that seemed to promise redemption. Eliza, still recovering, stepped beside him, her hand resting on her belly. "He saved more than me," she whispered. "He saved the man I married." Richard nodded silently. The pain in his eyes remained, but there was something new too, a quiet resolve. He knew he could never undo the past, but he could build something better from its ashes. 9 months later, when their son was born, they named him Marco. The boy grew up hearing stories of courage, sacrifice, and redemption, of how one man's act of selflessness changed everything. And every year, on the day of the storm, the family returned to the lake, laying fresh lilies upon the water. As the screen fades to black, a soft voice narrates, "Sometimes heroes aren't the ones we expect. Sometimes redemption comes from the unlikeliest hearts." If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful tales of love, sacrifice, and second chances. Every click helps us bring you more stories that touch the soul and remind us what it truly means to be human.